Hi, thank you for your interest in Bridge the Gap Spanish. My name is Keisha Villas, and I am the founder of Bridge the Gap. Bridge the Gap offers Spanish programs for those interested in learning to speak Spanish. We are unique in that we match each and every one of our students with a native speaker who serves as their conversation teacher throughout the program. We also offer grammar sessions, both live and recorded, for support. Each student is coached through the program to help track their progress and make sure that they are developing habits that will help them reach their conversation goals. I am joined here by two of our very amazing native speakers, Yosmary and Armando, and I'd love for them to just introduce themselves. So Yosmary, and could you introduce yourself, tell where you're from, and just tell where you're from.
Hi, I am from Cuba. I was born and raised in Cuba until I was 18, and I've been living in the Orlando area for the past 7 years. And
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
And Armando, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Armando. I'm from Mexico, and I really like and love teaching Spanish.
Great. Thank you guys so much for introducing yourselves. I'm going to just take this time to ask you guys some questions, mainly for those who are wanting to learn Spanish and learn to speak Spanish and who are potentially interested in joining a Spanish program with Bridge the Gap. So my first question for you both is, how long have you taught for Bridge the Gap?
Well,
Yes,
I have been with Bridge the Gap for almost 3 years now.
that's great. And how about you, Armando? How long have you been with Bridge the Gap?
Almost 6 months.
Great. Yeah. I have been so blessed and so thankful for both of you guys for joining in on this journey and helping just so many students get an opportunity to learn to actually speak Spanish. So thank you for being with Bridge the Gap. Now I'd like to move a little bit into just what has been your favorite part about teaching for Bridge the Gap, Yosmiri?
Well, as a stay-at-home mom, besides the fact that I get to meet so many different people, I love the flexibility of time and space. So I get to teach from anywhere that I have a screen available and at any time that my student and I see fit and are available at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely makes it flexible for a teacher. And so that's really great. How about you, Armando? What is something that is your favorite part about teaching for Bridge the Gap?
Okay, my favorite part is the opportunity to meet foreign people, to know different points of view, ideas, even we can share our traditions, custom, culture, and I love contrast our countries. This is my favorite part.
Yeah, I love that too. Just not only being able to impart the language and really helping someone to get to a point of speaking confidently in Spanish, but also the part where you get to share your culture, which
Yeah,
that's a huge part of the language, is the cultural piece as well. So that's
right.
really great. Thank you for sharing. I'd love to know what should students know before choosing to take a class with Bridge the Gap?
I think they should know that it'll take hard work, but that they don't have to do it alone. The way we structured our program is so that we are able to be with you, to support you, and to keep you accountable. So it's gonna be okay. You just have to work a little bit, and then we will help you through it. But you will not be alone, which is so important when we're learning a new language or doing something new at all, I think.
Yeah, that's so true. Just like the accountability of we're going to be with you. So yes, we're holding you accountable, but you're not alone. So I love that. And thanks for emphasizing that as a part of Bridge the Gap. How about you, Armando? What is something that you'd want a student to be able to know about Bridge the Gap before starting?
Well, Bridge the Gap design a curate an individual program appropriate for each level. It's like a tailor-made suite, but we support all the students all the time, not just during the classes, uh, even during all this journey learning Spanish.
Hmm. Yes, I love those words. Tailor-made. Yes, so much. Bridge the Gap is tailor-made. So we not only have you meet with your conversation teacher, but we outside of your classes, we come up with plans specifically for each student to make sure that they are on track and that they are learning and reaching their goals as soon as possible. So yes, tailor-made 100%. Thank you for using that word to describe it. That is so fitting for Bridge the Gap. I'd love to know, what was one moment when something clicked for a student, or maybe they finally understood something that you had been trying to explain, or a concept that they have been trying to get, or maybe they finally could speak in a tense, like the past tense, and they finally got it, or anything that happened where it clicked. What can you tell me about an experience and when that happened, Yosmary?
I can think of sometimes when students are starting to read, uh, because of the English language, it sounds different in our head, but then when we understand the five sounds that we have in Spanish and how when you read is the same as when you write, and once we get that down, everything kind of seems so much better. So it's kind of exciting, the small wins, and how I get to be a part of that as well. It's always fun to watch people click and just learn something new.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about for you, Armando? When is one time where that happened?
Okay, I remember when I was teaching, and okay, when I use funny tools
Mm.
like a puzzles and other tools and create the right environment, I notice my student immediately understood this topic, and I noticed this click with my student.
Yeah, that's awesome. Using the right tools. I think that that's something that we do focus on at Bridge the Gap. We really make sure that if someone's an auditory learner or someone's a visual learner, we try and figure out what that is, figure out what's their best way of learning. And then, yes, you're right, give them the right tools so that it can click for them. I love that. Thank you for sharing, both of you. Now I'd like to know, what is your teaching philosophy? What is something that what is your philosophy when it comes to teaching in your classes? Yosmary.
Well, I really believe in repetition and reading, writing, even if we don't necessarily understand what we're reading and writing. When we do that, we are exercising ourselves to recognize words and patterns. I also believe in knowing and telling. So I can speak with my student and then they can tell me back what they heard. I think that is so important, and it will all work together, so that you can have the best results and actually learn.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. How about you, Armando? What is your teaching philosophy?
Okay, I have 3 points in my philosophy. The first is, if you just hear, you forget. But if you do, you understand. This is the number one. The number two is to make learning fun. And the number three is, I encourage the students to speak, no matter what level they have. Try to speak, especially with native speakers.
Yeah, that's great. All of those points, Yosmary and Armando. I love all of those points. Really getting a student to do the work of speaking is so important at every level, no matter if they're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, no matter what level you're at, you should be speaking Spanish to get in that rhythm of speaking, especially with native speakers. Okay, in your opinion, I'm curious to know how important is conversation with a native speaker for someone who is learning Spanish?
I think it's so crucial, right? To talk to someone in the language that you want to learn, and not just anybody, but someone who has the right intonation, the right speed, or that maybe uses different words than you're used to seeing on TV or from an audio recording that sometimes sounds sort of mechanical. On TV, it's also very curated. So you might not find all of the all of the words that you can listen to because it's TV. So when you talk with a real person, you get their real experience. It's such an enriching experience for everybody, for the native speaker that will be your conversation teacher, and for the student to know about each other, to like actually hear what they say, how they say it, their facial expressions, to read their lips. It's the best thing you can do if you cannot actually go to the country of origin that you want to learn from and just be there and immerse yourself in the culture. Immersion is so important, even if it's just through a screen when you can actually talk to someone.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I love that you mentioned the right speed because I think that that's a complaint or a struggle that a lot of Spanish students have. They say, oh my goodness, Spanish is spoken so fast when it's spoken by a native speaker." Well, if you're in a class with a native speaker and practicing with a native speaker, you'll get used to that speed, get used to the intonation, get used to all of those factors, and be able to thrive when it comes to speaking Spanish. How about you, Armando? Same question for you. What is yeah, how important is it for someone to be in conversation with a native speaker?
Okay, in my opinion, is super important. Actually, for me, it's the best way to learn a language. And I want to share with you, I know a man who is from China. This guy speaks very well, a good Spanish, very well. But he has never attended school or taken Spanish classes. For me, that's awesome. He just speak in with natives, and that's all. This is the right way to learn.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that because you're right. Being in conversation is the right way to learn. Most people, I feel like they want to learn Spanish so that they can actually speak Spanish. Yes, reading, writing, great, awesome, necessary, but ultimately you want to be able to speak. And so, yes, it is the most crucial part. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. That's amazing. Um, Now, I would like to ask you both different question, each of you a different question. First, I'll start with Armando. Armando, what is one Spanish phrase that you think it would be awesome for everyone to know?
Okay. Um, it's a word. One word.
Okay, that
It's a
works.
verb. It's a verb. The verb is esmerat. Esmerate. Okay, the verb is esmerar.
Hmm.
But if you conjugate it, is esmerate. It's like push yourself or strive.
Hmm.
Esmerate. It's a good expression.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, so merate for everyone. push yourself to learn Spanish. Yeah, that's great. Now for you, Yossi, I'd love to ask, what is one piece of advice that you'd give someone that is learning Spanish?
In Spanish.
If you are learning Spanish, and Armando mentioned some of this a little bit in his teaching philosophy, and that is that you should feel free to make mistakes. You need to feel safe, which is some of the reasons why we love to have conversations and we have specific people to sit with you so that you have a safe space to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to know that you don't know something. So you need to make the mistakes so it can be corrected. And just don't be shy. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as people can understand you and you can understand people, that's all that matters. And once you feel free to do that, once you feel free to say things how you know them, then the rest will be added to that. You can start refining your speaking skills. But you first need to be able to mispronounce words. You need to let yourself make mistakes, because that is just how we learn. It's like riding a bike. You'll fall a few times, but then you just get the balance right. And so it's the same. Find someone you can practice with that is not going to be appalled. We are just, for a native speaker like me, we're just excited that you are interested. We're flattered that you want to speak the way I speak, and want to communicate with me and learn about my culture. And yeah, don't be afraid. Everything is okay. Just know that it's part of the process. Feel confident. Esmérate. Don't be, oh, I can't just like, if I talk and then I say it wrong, people are gonna laugh at me or whatever. No, we need to switch our mindset and know that making mistakes is okay. And I would say it's pretty important that you make mistakes just so that you know what you don't know. I think that's my advice on that.
Yeah, that is so liberating, just to know like, oh, it's okay if I make a mistake. And I feel like you're right. A lot of people don't feel that way. But we're here at Bridge the Gap to say, if you're learning to speak Spanish, come learn with us, because we embrace those mistakes so that we can get better, so that we can improve, so that we can get to that point where we're reaching our Spanish conversational goals. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you both, Yosmary and Armando. Thank you for joining me today and for really just sharing about Bridge the Gap and sharing what makes you passionate about teaching Spanish. And yeah, thank you all for whoever is watching this right now. Thank you for watching and listening. And I hope that this encourages you to check out our programs. If you are interested in Bridge the Gap Spanish, be sure to learn more by clicking on the links provided, or also feel free to reach out to one of us with any questions that you have concerning Bridge the Gap as well. And we'd be more than happy to help. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope that this was super helpful for you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you. Buenas noches.
You're welcome. Buenas